The young person states, "No, even if we had perfect conditions," which may indicate their doubts that even in the best conditions, they have a chance of success. Him with a more confident expression on his face saying, "Don't worry, it's just part of my plan." This assumes that he has a strategy that he is going to implement. Dragon engulfed by the icy elements, and the question arises, why does the silver dragon build himself a glacier? The question involves looking for deep motives or unknown aspects of the dragon's behavior. Everything has a reason, and his behavior must have one too. This emphasizes the character's desire to understand the reasons behind the dragon's movements, which may be the key to their future actions. The young man confidently declares, his strength cannot be turned into weakness. It could mean that he is talking about an opponent or circumstance that can't simply be tipped in his favor. His more serious face, and he continues, "I will remain strong for the rest of my life." It is an expression of determination and steadfastness in one's beliefs and goals. Characters against a winter landscape, which may indicate an upcoming challenge or journey they are both about to take part in. The young man says with a note of sarcasm or irony, "This time Marie is not giving us life, but will only be a backup." It perhaps hints at a change in the role of one of the group members or a new tactic they are about to use. We see the characters looking at the dragon, and one of them says, "Noticed us, huh?" This could mean that the dragon has noticed their presence, which introduces an element of tension or anticipation of conflict. A young man who reassures his comrade by saying, "But as long as we didn't do anything about it, he'd just ignore us." This indicates that the dragon may not see them as a threat yet, or may simply not want to engage in conflict. Dragon with detailed patterns and symbols around it, and the commentary reads, "He knows people won't do anything to him." This could indicate a mutual understanding or a certain balance between the dragon and humans. A young man addresses his companion with the question, "Do you care about the ants under your feet?" It is a rhetorical question that may imply comparing their situation to insignificant creatures in the dragon's eyes, emphasizing the difference in the scale of their existence or power. The girl with the sword and determination in her eyes says, "So we are ants to him," which may reflect her realization that they are perceived as insignificant beings by the dragon. The young man replies, "Don't rush things, we just need to distract him," suggesting tactics that involve a more cautious and sophisticated approach to the problem. A girl with a serious expression says, "Get behind me," preparing for the upcoming confrontation and providing protection or support. Step 1 is the destruction of the ice armor, begin, marking the start of their strategic plan in the battle against the dragon. The young man shouts vigorously, "Stand and watch," he then pronounces, "Fireball," unleashing a powerful spell or attack. All over this mountain we have placed octuplets, which could mean setting traps or key points for battle strategy. An explosion is seen, accompanied by the words, "and they lead to the beams," indicating the action of these devices or plan elements. The moment these rays are aimed directly at the silver dragon, presumably to attack or affect it in some way. We see a majestic, huge dragon made of ice rising above two figures apparently preparing for battle. One of the figures utters, "Damned arrogance," which may express their resentment or defiance in response to the power and majesty of the dragon. Dragon in close perspective with the text, "You dare," which perhaps indicates contempt or disdain for their actions. An explosion accompanied by the words, "But we should have been more careful," which may indicate an unexpected development or unintended consequences of their plan. The dragon appears to be struck by an explosion, with the text, "which is aimed directly at the silver dragon," confirming that their plan of attack has begun to take effect, perhaps with the necessary success. We see a man with a confident smile who is probably asking his opponent or comrade, "So what are you going to do now?" This may indicate that he is facing a choice or a challenge. Man against the snowy landscape, he seems calm and centered, saying, "This mountain is like a fortress." It could mean that he feels safe or has an advantage in the current situation. A dragon surrounded by ice with the text, "You can't escape them." It suggests that the heroes have found a way to overcome the dragon's defenses, or that the dragon is in a predicament. A man performs an action accompanied by the words, "Fireball," which may signify the use of a magical or martial ability against a dragon or some obstacle. The icy expanse is subjected to an explosion, its fragility broken by a power that seems to announce its presence as if by the voice of the heavens. The first thing we do is break the ice. The words of the promise sound, hinting at an upcoming renovation or possibly destruction. There is a tension in the air that foreshadows the inevitable. The image of the crater, marking the beginning and the end, rises above the stage, bringing together the history of the past and the uncertainty of the future. Add to that all that is new and all that I am under the living, the unseen narrator says. implying the possibility of rebirth from the ashes, a new beginning that is born out of chaos and destruction. Amidst the frost and darkness, the image of a bright-eyed young man looms out of the shadows. His gaze is a mirror of his soul, reflecting the burden of knowledge and hard decisions. Multi-eternal freezing is a very powerful skill. His thoughts make it clear that his power carries both salvation and a curse, a gift that must be used with caution. Shrouded in a shroud of ice, whispers of a past that may never let go of its bonds. Be that as it may, you're already covered in ice. It was like an echo of the past warning that their path might be doomed to repeat itself forever. In the depths of space, a voice appears calling attention to a mysterious phenomenon, a fireball illuminating the darkness. Then I have one theory, the voice ponders, suggesting that what they have before them is not just a cosmic spectacle, but a key to understanding the deeper mysteries of existence. A man with a contemplative gaze stands before us, his arms crossed in a sign of silence, or perhaps in search of inner peace. That is their fatal weakness, he reveals to us, emphasizing that unseen vulnerability lurking somewhere deep within, waiting for the moment to reveal itself. Girl with a fighting look and the words "I was right" reaffirms her confidence that the truth she sought is now confirmed. Her determination and actions create a sense of urgency and certainty, going up against the unknown, which heightens the sense of suspense and anticipation for the resolution of this story of mystery and discovery. A shout of spazuri cuts through the cold air, reflecting the tension of the moment. The male figure, appealing to the forces that can change the course of events, prepares for action, preparing to face the inevitable. He takes a decisive step, upsetting the equilibrium of the icy desert with his presence. "Get out of the spot, Radius!" His voice reflects the urgency of the situation, demanding a retreat to minimize risk to those around him. The airborne explosion is the culmination of a dynamic and decisive moment. It's a moment of truth and challenge where every choice and action has weight. And so, the girl in motion with her words, "I won't be hit," confirms her determination and agility by dodging the threat. Her confidence and ability to avoid danger emphasize the intensity of their struggle to survive in this chaotic post-fall world. The girl curses her enemies in a fighting fit, her words, "These guns are too slow," expressing her dissatisfaction with their current abilities. She doesn't just criticize, but calls out the outcome of the battle, demonstrating her combat readiness. A man, perhaps a leader or strategist, looks up into the sky, noting, "That's some speed." His words reflect admiration or maybe a realization of a new, unexpected threat that exceeds their expectations, flying through the air like it's defying gravity. Did she engage me in battle with me seriously? Her challenge can be either internal or addressed to the opponent, showing her willingness to accept a glove throw. Crystalline structures emerge from the earth, creating a barrier or perhaps an arena for the next confrontation. "The meat is ready," carries the promise of an upcoming battle where strength and skill will be tested to the limit in this tumultuous epic of survival. A male figure in flight exclaims excitedly, "Well done!" and "Fireball!" This action is filled with energy and determination. His gaze and gestures show a readiness for battle and challenge. Crystalline formations from which a voice booms out, "Your weak spot is hair." These words emphasize a strategic epiphany, perhaps pointing out the vulnerability of the enemy. A man with a triumphant smile, raising his finger in the air as if confirming his confidence in victory, his facial expression reflects satisfaction and anticipation of success. You can only survive in extreme cold, and heat generated by muscle movement expose his tactical superiority, revealing that he not only understands his opponent's conditions, but how to use that knowledge to his advantage. Ice spikes, like guardians of ancient secrets, rise in impenetrable darkness, hiding under their crystalline layers voices that whisper of cold-absorbing heat, of fighting the inexorable. "Your body is incapable of handling even such heat sources." The warning sounds like a sentence given in the freezing void. From shards of ice and flame, a creature emerges, the alchemy of the elements embodied into a living force. Fire dances across his wings, and with each movement, vapor is born in the air, forming mists of mirages and promises. "The more you move, the weaker you get," says the law of this world, where every step costs strength and every breath costs survival. But here, in this arena of eternal confrontation, even fatigue becomes a weapon in the hands of the determined. Laughing in the face of danger, the blue-haired warrior spins in her dance of battle, her sword glittering brighter than the most distant stars. "Looks like your theory is correct," she calls out, and in that sound is her whole, unshakable spirit, ready to take on the next challenge of fate. A young warrior with blue hair, steadfast and unwavering, stares into the distance, and his gaze is full of determination. "And no one even noticed it," he says, as if dialoguing with the wind itself, which carries his words to unknowing interlocutors. Against the background of endless ice, where every bend and crack holds echoes of long-ago battles, a beast of ice, blue and mighty, as if it had emerged from the depths of winter, peeks out at the horizon. He toppled his armor to reveal his terrifying powers. His presence represents the power of nature, indomitable and free. Facing the merciless cold, the warrior steps forward again, her figure sharp and precise, like a sculptor that wields the elements. Step 1 is to destroy the enemy's hope. Step 2 is to learn not to regress, but to regrit. Her voice echoes in space, a willingness to face any challenge. And so the blue-haired warrior, his face now lit with fury, prepares his companions for the decisive battle. It's time to wipe that legend to dust. We won't be killed, which means victory is ours. His words carry a spark that can light a fire in the hearts of those who are willing to follow him to the end. Standing atop a ruined bridge, a young blue-haired warrior raises his voice, declaring, "It's time to wipe this legend to dust." Flames and smoke rise behind his back, promising the beginning of a new era, perhaps filled with the same battles, but with new heroes. A fiery beast surrounded by the power of the elements becomes a vivid testament to the struggle. You were only able to become a legend because no one like you reached out to fight you. His existence is a challenge that resonates with the souls of those who dare to oppose him. The warrior's laughter resounds in anticipation of the fight, his confidence infectious. He knows he resonates in the hearts of his allies, their unity stronger than any adversity. "We're alike in that." His words spoken between heartbeats emphasize the commonality of fate that binds him to his adversary, to his allies, to all who at this moment share this world and its trials with him. The icy beast stares straight into my soul, its blue eyes sparkling amidst the frosty swirl. "I won't give you a chance to do anything extra. You no longer have the right to choose." His words carry the inevitability of a fate that is no longer negotiable. The blue-haired warrior's laughter, full of confidence and challenge, breaks the silence of the battle. "No living thing will survive if you set it on fire." He knows that victory requires not only strength, but also cunning, and he's willing to use both. Amidst the splashing water and shooting stars, he prepares his retaliation. "You're open to any attack now. That's where my second tactic comes in." His voice is determined, and he's ready to put his plan into action. Darkness envelops everything around him, and the warrior's words sound like a declaration of will. It's not just leaving anymore. We dragged him in on purpose. There is a strategic mastery in this confession that foreshadows the coming superiority in battle. The beast of ice seems frozen in a destructive vortex for a moment, its body framed by ice shards and the red trail of battle that matures in the air. The strength of his nature is felt in every shard that flies away from his mighty body. The speed and power of the warrior is epitomized in her unwavering stride that leaves behind her footprints in the snow. Divine flow. These words reflect the power of a movement capable of breaking down any barriers in its path. She, like a dancer of destiny, fits her movements into the eternal rhythm of battle. Blooming abundance are not just words. They are the embodiment of her inner strength that awakens with every move she makes. "I am the best supernir." With this shout, the warrior unleashes the full force of her spirit upon her opponent, and in every blow, in every word, her indomitable will to win resounds. Laughter and warm words fill the air as two warriors share a moment of victory. Keep noticing his palate as he becomes meat for slaughter. A joke said with lightness, but not without the gravity of a truth they both understand perfectly well. The whirlwind of battle does not subside, and the ice beast fights with unrelenting fury. Its screams cutting through space, and its every gesture a testament to the implacable struggle. Amidst the shards of snow and ice, the faces of the characters are faces of determination and focus. Their gazes cross, exchanging unspoken words that say more than any speeches. The creature, the embodiment of cold might, rises again, and every curve, every line of its icy body is a reminder that the battle is not yet over, that every new breath can reawaken the whirlwind of battle. The warrior's eyes reflect weariness and the realization of the eternity of the struggle. We stand to his will, and he by the world has risen. This could go on forever. She knows that their battle with forces that outnumber them may have no end. We are all mortal. This statement, though catchy, carries the weight of truth that each of the characters must come to terms with. The struggle for life, for every moment of existence, it is continuous for them. The blue-haired warrior, despite everything, does not lose his spirit. Get down, keep hitting him. His order is not only a call to action, but a support for those fighting beside him. The dynamics of the warrior's movement, her determined step forward, is her answer to the call. She is ready to keep fighting despite the fatigue, despite the inevitability of their shared vulnerability in the face of great adversity. The blue-haired warrior stares off into the distance, his face reflecting mixed feelings of determination and anticipation of the challenge ahead. Now it's my turn. The words he uttered sound like the beginning of a new chapter in this never-ending story. Before him stands a giant of ice, a monument of elemental power and ancient majesty. Lonely as me and a corpse, even the most self-righteous murderer meet me. His words sound like a challenge to the whole world, as if fate itself were calling him to battle. The warrior's movement is fearless and full of grace as he bursts into battle with the beast of ice, his every strike like a lightning bolt cutting through the darkness of the cold world. He's completely inexperienced in this kind of fighting, even in the face of a huge opponent. He maintains his composure and tactical assessment of the situation, demonstrating that he's ready to take on the challenge and use his intuition and skills to achieve victory. Amidst the heat of battle, the blue-haired warrior is carried forward with confidence and strength. There, no feints. He knows there is no room for guile in this direct confrontation, only raw power and determination. With each blow, he demonstrates his skill. I'm acting purely on intuition. His instincts guide his every move, making his tactics unpredictable and deadly. In the dance of combat, he is dodgy and agile, using his opponent's strength against himself. It took you long enough to fall for your own trick. He masterfully turns the situation to his advantage by fending off the beast's attack. The ice monster beneath his feet seemed to recognize his superiority. Clever. You realize I'm in charge here? The hero not only owns the situation, but also demonstrates his dominant role in the battle. The blue-haired warrior gains momentum in his swift descent, his figure sharp and precise. Just this. His words are curt, and filled with a determination that emphasizes his willingness to act quickly and efficiently. He confronts an adversary, the epitome of pure power and aggression. You are nothing more than a wave of noise exploding energy. He dismisses his opponent's greatness, reducing him to a mere obstacle in his path. His shout of "I Prapanka" reflects not only his fighting spirit, but also the strategic approach he chooses to take in this fight. With each movement, he turns his energy into a weapon against the ice giant. Away from the battle, the young warrior looks on with a slight chuckle on her lips at what is happening. The mentor is approaching the dragon. It's time to throw a blue in. She leads her game, preparing for her move, full of confidence in her abilities and the outcome of the battle. The blue-haired warrior does not lose sight of his target even in the fall. I'm not the one running the guns on step 2, he shouts, warning of an impending surprise move that will change the course of the battle. The fire dragon responds to his words in fury. He is not just a creature of legends, he is the personification of destruction that does not accept confrontation. Great combo! The blue-haired warrior proclaims his next move, which will no doubt be decisive in this epic battle. Fire and ice collide in a powerful explosion, demonstrating the clash of two worlds, fiery fury and icy calm, each seeking to dominate the other. In a world where lore comes alive at the edge of sword and spell words, there she stands, a sword-wielding warrior with a gaze that defies the heavens themselves. Her opponent, a mighty dragon, rushes toward her, his wings covered in frost and icicles, each flap a winter storm. Divine flow, she whispers, and the light of her spell cuts through the darkness, colliding with the dragon's icy blast. Magic emanates from her in waves, lighting up the night sky with fierce sparks of light. The whirlwind of the dragon's reply, scalding halo wind, erupts in response, turning the battle into a storm where fire and ice do not yield to each other. Every clash of the elements is a powerful roundelay of destruction. Amidst the chaos of battle, a companion's question rings out, "Are you sure you saw everything with your own eyes?" His words are a glimmer of calm in the heart of the whirlwind, a reminder that after the storm comes silence. "Of course," she replies, her eyes full of determination and faith. The air vibrates with magic as the warrior ponders her next move. This technique actually has several layers, she pondered, her gaze fixed on the glittering crystal in her hand. She realizes that power lies not only in the sword, but also in knowledge. Sputnik notes, not all terrain is under fire. His words are a reminder that war is not only about direct combat, but also about tactics, wisdom, and foresight. He's ready to support her wherever the battle takes her. Against the backdrop of a raging storm sits a dragon, glowing with its icy beauty. His majesty graces the landscape of destruction, a reminder that even in the midst of chaos there is room for wonder. He has no cause for fear. the warrior says, striding boldly through the snow. Her words are as strong as winter, and there is an echo of hope in them. Reach for him to sink punches. She's ready for the next leap, the next challenge. In the shadow of the mighty dragon, his companion, a man in a dark cloak, stands unmoved. His gaze drifted upwards towards the creature circling above him, a mixture of surprise and determination in his eyes. Perhaps he knows something the dragon himself doesn't. Strategy is all about waiting to strike, he says, as if confirming his readiness for the decisive moment. You can hear the confidence and calmness in his words, despite the overwhelming power of the enemy. And suddenly his voice intensifies, becomes fierce. A final or decisive blow, checkmate. Energy surges around his hand, the thunder coil ready to roll. There is not only magic in his movement, but also the will to win. Electric lightning strikes the dragon, causing the creature to howl in surprise and pain. What? His reaction suggests that he didn't see this coming. The force of the impact disrupts his majestic flight, and he begins to lose his balance. The dragon, hesitant, wounded, and in his eyes now not confidence but confusion. This moment changes the course of the fight, giving the heroes the upper hand. Victory seemed to be on the horizon, but in their world, every moment is unpredictable. In the depths of the whirlwind of battle, where the air is saturated with magic, the merciless dragon fights back with powerful blows in a fury. His screams echo off the walls of reality, and the flames spurting from his mouth illuminate the battle scene like a flash of light in the heart of chaos. Weakened but not defeated, the dragon falls from the sky with a thunderous crash, its wings no longer holding it in the air. Clouds of dust and snow rise into the air as if witnessing his fall, slowing time with their soft shroud. A mage stands in the snowy expanse, his robes fluttering in the wind like flags of victory. There is a quiet triumph in his eyes, an unwavering confidence in his stance. A strategy with which anyone can defeat the silver dragon, he whispers, as if sharing a secret with the world itself. Ready! His voice is firm and calm. He can already see the next horizon of adventure hidden behind the clouds of the future. The magician, turned to the winds of change, ponders the consequences of his triumph. Disaster is over, he says, ready to reveal to the world the secrets of his victory. He knows that his words about the way to defeat the dragon will be rewritten in the annals, studied and discussed by many generations of mages. A figure appears on the horizon as if crawling out of the heart of winter. They'll be hunted down, she says, foreshadowing the new trials and battles that lie ahead for a world that has not yet recovered from the last conflict. Her eyes, full of determination, flash at the mention of Silver Dragon like fires in the night, igniting new hope. With my abilities, I'm capable of at most mid-level magic, but... The mage ponders, realizing that the upcoming obstacles will require new strategies and alliances from him. It worked out pretty well this time. He's pleased with the results, but realizes that this success is only a small part of a bigger story, in which every step forward leads to new horizons and uncharted lands. The girl rejoices at the magician's success and hugs him. Mentor! She laughs, not believing that he was able to defeat a dragon without much of a reception. The mage smiles back and says it all worked out because of her help. He appreciates her efforts and knows that without her, victory wouldn't have been so sweet. An outside character watches them. She seems to feel a little lonely seeing their happiness. She stands back looking at them confused and muttered something hesitantly. Maybe she wants to be part of their joy too, or maybe she has her own worries about that. Three friends having fun together. The mage looks a little surprised but still smiles as the two girls joke and tease him. They play in the snow and you can see the smiles on their faces. The mage seems a little confused, but he's still happy. The mage looks off into the distance and talks about plans for tomorrow. He's thinking of going to the mountains, perhaps in search of new adventures. The day after the battle with the dragon, they are tired and rest together, sleeping off after a busy day. The girl is surprised that she woke up in the mage's room. She looks confused and doesn't know how she ended up there. The mage seems displeased that the girl is sleeping so restlessly, disturbing him. The other girl is sleeping deeply and peacefully. She seems to be having pleasant dreams. The mage tries to lay the other girl back down so she doesn't fall off the bed. He looks tired, but cares for both of them. The girl is sleeping peacefully and seems happy even in her sleep. The magician lies next to him, staring wistfully at the ceiling and wishing he could be really happy. He's dressed in smart clothes and looks ready for new exploits. Peacock, it's him, isn't it? He says, probably pointing to someone important. He prepares to battle the silver dragon again. Perhaps this is their next adventure. Despite all his successes and feats, the mage feels fatigue and pain. He realizes that magic and adventure takes strength and sometimes brings pain. The old man places his hand affectionately on the mage's head, as if saying goodbye or thanking him for what he has done. The magician, along with the two girls, are seated at a table. Perhaps they are discussing their next steps or just enjoying each other's company after a tough time. The mage reasons that preparation and information is the key to defeating the dragon. He realizes that even novice warriors can win with the right strategy. The old man talks thoughtfully about strategy and access. He knows it could change the balance of power if it falls into the wrong hands. Perhaps he is worried about the consequences of disclosing this information. The magician explains that success in battle depends not only on strength, but also on the cunning and strategy he used to win. One of the girls, while enjoying her tea, remarks that the role of decoy in the battle was a tough one, but she did well and helped in the victory. The second girl cheerfully declares that she hasn't eaten anything at all, teasing everyone with her vigor and perhaps indicating that she has escaped danger. The old man sitting at the table with them speaks of his surprise at their success in the battle with the silver dragon, admitting that he could not believe that they could have won before. A magician, in light of successes and accomplishments, wants to share more than just a reward with friends. He wants to thank them for their support and camaraderie. A beautiful home in the evening that is apparently reserved for a special occasion. Perhaps this is where the magician wants to spend time with friends celebrating their victory. The mage finds himself alone, sitting in the corner of the room. He looks puzzled or frustrated, perhaps thinking about the consequences of their decisions or the hardships they have endured. He is desperate, perhaps experiencing a moment of crisis, wondering how they got to this point in their journey. Emotions overwhelm him, and he searches for answers to hard questions. One of the girls approaches the mage and says that she has been thinking about all of this for a long time, indicating deep thoughts or perhaps even plans for the future. The other girl cheerfully expresses her surprise and joy. She's happy that both her and her mentor have no pain, emphasizing the ease of their victory despite all the difficulties. The third girl looks at the mage and asks why he has such a dejected face, trying to understand his worries. She teases the mage by saying that a special SS rank has been introduced for him, which could be a joke about his skills or status after the battle with the dragon. On stage, a magician standing in front of the crowd majestically announces a new title that has been assigned in an exceptionally impressive manner: Creator of the Strategy to Slay the Silver Dragon. His figure stands out against the background of the magic circle, symbolizing his power and the importance of his achievement. However, the magician's inner experiences are at odds with this celebration. He feels the urge to disappear, feeling the weight of responsibility or perhaps tired of fame. A book with a strategy book on how to fight the dragon appears, surrounded by warnings of danger. The mage reflects on the fact that with a new rank came heavy new responsibilities that perhaps he wasn't ready to take on. The magician lies on the floor, claiming that he has clearly been cursed, expressing his despair and perhaps frustration with himself or the circumstances around him. The story of the magician who defeated the dragon became a legend, and now everyone knows his name. He became a national hero. People gathered around him, admiring his feat, and the atmosphere is filled with praise and celebration. But for the mage, it's not just a victory, it's a reflection of his true nature. He's just an ordinary man, despite the outward glitz and glory. He feels a gap between the painted image and his reality. Someone reminds the mage that it's time to turn on his head, reminding him to be alert and ready for new challenges, despite the heights achieved. And that same night, when the world seemed calm and peaceful, a noise is heard. Perhaps a harbinger of new adventures or dangers that won't be long in coming. A mage striving for new heights, he walks through the dark forest determined to become stronger. His uncontrollable thirst for perfection pushes him to keep going despite the fatigue and hardships of the journey. He realizes that every tiny effort matters, that even a marginal improvement of 0.1% is important to achieving his goal. He is not afraid to put forth effort, recognizing the value of continuous self-improvement. In this endeavor, the magician is not alone. His comrades also work tirelessly on themselves. Their perseverance and determination have no limit. They are willing to overcome any challenge on the road to excellence. The story concludes with a reflection on the value of labor and self-development. The heroes realize that their efforts are not in vain and that each step forward brings them closer to their dreams. Amidst the evening glitz stands Shizuru. Attention is directed to the stacks of chips shimmering in the light, like a beacon of success and good fortune. Her gaze is hidden, but there is no doubting her confidence and skill. Van looks thoughtfully at the lone token in his hand. But if I don't practice, I'll never improve my skills by even that all-important 0.1%, he thinks. It is the realization that the path to greatness is through relentless improvement and hard work. The scene is then shrouded in fire and shadow, where the mage may be facing a new test, a challenge that requires determination and fortitude. The magician sits on the ground having a moment of true reflection. I've clearly been cursed, he says, reflecting on the obstacles he's experiencing in his path. In the darkness of the night forest, the mage is alone pondering his path when a girl approaches him with an offer to join him. Her appearance is unexpected but met with doubt. The mage refuses company, preferring solitude for his training. His determination to train alone emphasizes his self-discipline and desire to grow without help. The girl, despite his words, does not back down and demonstrates her strength by flashing her weapons into the night. Her actions show strength and determination. She is ready for a fight or a challenge, even if her company has been rejected. Their interaction displays the conflict between solo endeavor and teamwork, where everyone chooses their own path in the pursuit of excellence. The girl turns to the mage, checking to see if he's heard after the dragon business. Her gaze is full of concern and incredulity, as if looking for confirmation that he's in one piece. The mage responds with a kind of detachment, declaring his ordinariness, emphasizing the gap between outer glory and inner essence. The girl looks at him carefully, her face expressing seriousness, and she doesn't wait for confirmation of his words, probably understanding more than she's saying. The magician recognizes that the girl who came is not joking and has serious intentions. The interactions between the two are filled with unspoken emotions and deep understanding. The magician admits in deep reflection that it may be impossible for others to understand his path, but for him it is the same desperate escape from reality, from himself. I'm not maxed out all the way down, nor even lower. His words reflect an inner conflict and modesty, despite all his accomplishments and his increased reputation among the people. The magician acknowledges his wounds as a protector of the world, realizing that each one is an echo of his calling and struggle. The girl looks at him with respect, noting his wounds as something that is strictly imposed, that carries significance and definition to their shared path. It is a testament to their shared struggles and common trials. The heavy air is filled with a sense of inevitability. The girl speaks with conviction in her voice of a harsh outcome for the guilty, and her words are not tolerated. The mage, his gaze lowered in contemplation, realizes that the day when he will be called to account will inevitably come. In his words, one hears the recognition of his fate and the acceptance of the need to act. Standing in the fire, as if it embodies the reason why a mage cannot dodge the battle. He is bound by an oath, and his decision carries the weight of personal sacrifice. The mage, armed with daggers, looks at the girl. He is ready to give her his final instructions, fully aware of the gravity of the moment and the possibility of an imminent separation. Their dialogue is imbued with determination and courage in the face of the unknown. Courage and determination are reflected in the warrior's words. I will carry out the execution myself. Her eyes hide the depth of her feelings, but her intentions are clear and unwavering. It won't hurt. She promises quick action without unnecessary suffering. She stands surrounded by magical forces, energy flowing around her, creating a halo of extraordinary power. The bet is on. Her words and tone promise the inevitability of the action to come. The blue-haired warrior stands at the center of the whirlwind of events, his gaze serious and focused. It carries an invisible heaviness, but also a tremendous inner strength. I will be the one to execute you, the warrior utters, her voice firm and confident. She's not just a warrior, she's a doer of destiny, and in that word she hides the full weight of her role in this story. The warrior, whose strength and confidence can be felt even through the dark cloud of energy, speaks the words of destiny. Her willingness to face the inevitable and take on the weight of responsibility shines in her eyes, even as she closes them in preparation for the decisive blow. A blue-haired warrior, his gaze filled with contemplation and understanding of who his partner is. Though we've traveled together for a short time, I know what kind of person she is, he reflects on his journey with her, appreciating her character and fortitude. His figure, engulfed in light, stands steady and ready to take on whatever comes next. He submits to circumstances, recognizing them and accepting the challenge. The warrior woman strikes her blow, and the warrior, like a ghost, faces the inevitable. But... His cry reflects all the sensations of the moment when reality meets destiny. The warrior's sudden scream cuts through the air. It is the sound of surprise and pain, the epitome of his struggle and growing desperation. The energy of the battle around him disappears in a powerful explosion, his reaction to the unexpected turn of events. A warrior with a sword, her movements crisp and decisive, as if she were cutting the very fabric of reality. Her strength is filled with confidence, and every step she takes is a step towards victory. Her eyes meet the warrior's gaze, and in them is a quiet but inexorable warning, Pobidlo. That word spoken by her reflects not only her intentions, but also her recognition that sometimes fate plays against you. She stands taller than him, her silhouette towering against the magical energy. Is she serious? The warrior's reflections reflect his realization of the gravity of the moment and the possible outcome of their confrontation. The warrior is gripped by mixed emotions, her voice trembling with inner conflict. I can't stand cheaters and cruel people. Her words express the deep moral conviction and personal principles behind her every action. She is invigorated with magical energy, with forces gathering around her, foreshadowing a powerful strike. Her determination and willpower are evident in every movement, in every spark of energy that she emits. The blue-haired warrior, seizing the moment, decides to confront her despite the incredible power she represents. Somewhat, but I can hold back her blows. His confidence in himself and his abilities gives him the strength to withstand the onslaught. And so in a battle of magical and physical powers, warrior and warrior collide in an epic showdown of will and skill. The blue-haired warrior, gripped by a mixture of determination and surprise, faces the reality of battle. His eyes widen with tension, and he realizes the seriousness of the situation he's gotten himself into. "It won't work!" he screams, desperately trying to resist the invisible force that is pulling him into the unknown, realizing that resistance may be futile. "We have too great a difference in strength," emphasizes that he recognizes his opponent's superiority, but does not give up without a fight. Finally, he takes a decisive step and shouts out, "If I want to survive, I'll have to convince her of my usefulness." Words that reflect his strategic thinking and desire to find a way to survive even in the most dire situation. The warrior's seriousness and steadfastness are emphasized by his words, "I can make truth out of lies." He stands against the whirlwind of emotions, showing determination to turn circumstances to his advantage, despite the seemingly hopelessness of the situation. In response to his challenge, the sword-wielding warrior prepares for a decisive strike. Her eyes sparkle with determination, and her stance is the epitome of fighting spirit and skill. The blue-haired warrior, without losing his composure, ponders his next steps. But if it happens on my terms, he foresees an opportunity to use the situation to his advantage, turning the upcoming battle into a strategic game. "I can be the strongest." His words carry the confidence that he is capable of surpassing current obstacles and accomplishing what seems impossible. The warrior, towering in her calmness and determination, turns around as if pondering the blue-haired warrior's words. "You're right there, but..." She acknowledges his point, but there is an understatement in her voice that foreshadows the depth of her next words. The blue-haired warrior, despite the odds, defies the circumstances by offering an alternative. "Would you like to team up with me?" His proposal speaks to a willingness to look outside the box, even in the most dire of situations. He reaches out to the warrior woman, suggesting a path that could lead them to a common goal. This gesture is a symbol of willingness to cooperate and understand, regardless of previous disagreements. However, the warrior woman doesn't see the point. "It doesn't do me any good." Her response emphasizes that her decisions and actions are based on a pragmatic view and self-interest. The warrior woman says with confidence in her voice, "You're looking for one of the 7 great calamities, aren't you?" These words reveal the magnitude of their quest, giving their mission both importance and danger. The blue-haired warrior, despite the dangers that await him on the road, does not lose his determination. "With the information I've gained about him, I can figure out exactly how to defeat him." He's ready to use all the knowledge available to him to counter the threat. The warrior continues, addressing personal motivations. "The greatest catastrophe that destroyed my home island." She reveals the personal anguish and resentments that push her down a path of revenge and justice. And the shadow of a threat looms over them as a symbol of their next opponent, the Empire Fortress Arachnia. What lies ahead of them promises to be a test of their strength, courage, and ability to face one of the most feared adversaries. The warrior woman continues her tale. "You are looking for one of the 7 great calamities after all." Her words reveal the magnitude of their quest, hinting at the significance and danger of their mission. The blue-haired warrior, full of determination, does not bow to the gravity of the moment. "I have no idea how Arachnia's draftsman ended up on the island, but I can think of nothing but her." His words reflect an obsession and focus on the task in front of him. Most likely, the archipelago was hiding at the bottom of the ocean. The warrior shares her speculations about her home island's past, offering an explanation for its current state. The blue-haired warrior, mulling over her words, suggests, "Most likely your island was a beacon for her rise to power. Golems don't move on their own." His conclusion emphasizes that there is a reason behind every event, and in this case, it is perhaps more sinister than it first appears. In the shadows of the mighty machinery, a voice is heard announcing that someone has cast aside old beliefs. It can signify change or a new beginning. The archive management system is presented as something that surpasses current technology. The magician says with confidence that it takes a special mind to solve it, which hints at the uniqueness and complexity of the task before him. Accreditation of the Akimika side effects woman may be a key or deciding factor in this case, perhaps indicating her role or influence in current events. The magician reflects on the sacrifices made for inventions, showing the depth of his thoughts on the price of progress and those who pay for it. Someone is holding a vial of a glowing potion, and the idea that this drug can advance science 100 years ahead is in the air, pointing to an invention that turned the entire scientific community upside down, making significant changes to known science. A male figure waves the vial in front of another character, emphasizing his determination to use the potion, despite any risks that may be associated with its nature or purpose. Girl scrutinizing the vial, which could mean her participation in the research or possible next steps related to this powerful discovery. A masculine figure stands before a glowing light emanating from two angel-like beings. They speak of a future in which humanity has reached unimaginable heights. It is an image filled with hope and light, symbolizing progress and goodness. Below, a man contemplates the light and his thoughts are deep. He realizes that great achievements are only part of his life's journey, leading him to the unknown and possibly new challenges. The subtext of his words suggests that, despite his nickname Master of Golems, his journey involves much more than mere mastery over the inanimate. A man standing before a grim and indestructible artifact or entity. It is the contrast between light and darkness, between hope and the inevitable challenge he must accept. In the chambers, illuminated only by the soft light of the monitor, a girl with blue hair asks, pensively staring into the depths of the screen, about the meaning of such an ancient ritual. Her words hover in the air like invisible threads, intertwining with the silence of the room. The answer doesn't come immediately, and it belongs to a young man with a dark look of concern. He promises to arrange things despite the weight of that promise, and his confidence seems stronger than the walls that surround them. A shadow of doubt slides across the girl's face as she asks if she should trust him. Her question echoes, reverberating off the walls of their shared uncharted path. And he laughs, and in his laughter there is a challenge to fate and to the darkness itself around him. He jokes about how if he doesn't keep his word she might hit him, but his eyes burn with determination not to let her down. The girl with blue hair, embarrassed but with a tinge of curiosity, asks how he even started this rank story. Her gaze is piercing, as if trying to unravel the mystery contained in his words. He, with a slight smile and a look hidden behind shadows, replies that it's all because of Mary, who calls him mentor, vesting him in this unexpected role. His self-confidence is emphasized by gestures, as if he were weaving a net out of thin air into which he confidently catches shooting stars. A new character comes into play, a girl with a green headdress, ironically commenting on the situation. Her words about the secretary who failed the rules and took her place in the ranks sound like a light but sharp jab to the protagonist, who doesn't seem to mind the role at all. Their story continues, and each new turn brings another facet of their relationship, an intrigue woven from trust and guidance, from teaching and learning, from the play of words and the reality of feelings. This interaction is like a dance, where each step leads to the next and none of them can be predicted. On a cloud of hopes and dreams rises a figure in a snow-white outfit with hair like golden strands of sunlight. In her hands is a staff, a symbol of her power and majesty. Boldly and wholeheartedly, she declares that she is the strongest in the world, and her confidence in this permeates the space around her, filling it with light, like a thick veil enveloping the two travelers. The young man with dark hair expresses weariness, perhaps from the weight of the burden he has taken on, or the uncertainty of their journey. His companion, a girl with blue hair, answers him, promising to stay with him. Her words are like an anchor in this unstable world, a promise of support and loyalty. A moment of seriousness and promise, there's a cheerful laugh. The stage transitions to a room where people are rejoicing, laughing, their faces glowing with happiness and merriment. There are exclamations of da 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 da, and in this echo of laughter one can feel the lightness of being, the joy of simple human moments. Then suddenly retreating into deep shadows of seriousness and uncertainty, then emerging into the expanse of joy and laughter. It is a journey through emotions and promises, through darkness and light, where each moment carries a multitude of meanings and experiences. In the magnificent casino hall, where red and gold patterns flowed seamlessly into a play of light and shadow, a tense atmosphere was growing at the gaming table. The croupier with blonde hair, confidently wielding the cards, seemed to be calling fate to a challenge, while the players, absorbing his every move, froze in anticipation of the outcome of the game. Nearby, at another table, sat a young man in an elegant suit, surrounded by the attention of 3 ladies with admiring glances. His gaze was focused, and his hands held the cards with an easy confidence that could only indicate years of practice and the art of the game. The word pass echoed over the table, inviting the next move. Suddenly, the tension was diffused by a volcanic explosion of joy and triumph as the young man said with a smirk, "I won again." His voice, full of satisfaction and slight mockery, made those around him freeze, then whisper with admiration and slight envy. But not everyone was consumed by the game. One of the girls standing nearby was looking perplexed at what was happening around her. Her gaze was full of doubt and bewilderment, as if she was wondering, "What are we doing in a casino?" Her neighbor, in a bright dress, seemed more cheerful and inspired by the atmosphere around her. The green tables of the casino were witnesses to his untroubled luck. "I won again," he declared with a slight smile, despite the startled looks from the other players. The argument between the girls grew more and more vivid. "What are we doing in a casino?" exclaimed one, while the other pulled her toward the roulette, earnestly convinced of new possibilities. "Let's go play that roulette." Their dialogue continued, sliding between memories and new experiences. "Have you been to a casino before? Daddy and I used to go to places like that a lot." Echoes of the past intertwined with the lively present. As they walked past the dazzlingly brightly colored slot machines, one of the girls remarked, "But we'll want to visit them quickly." Her friend, with shining eyes and a slight note of bewilderment, replied, Why?" It all became clear when the fun met them again. "Because the table man is the luckiest man in the world," she exclaimed, appearing in the full splendor of her conviction and joy. The majestic view of the casino revealed itself to them in full glory when they learned, "This casino is run by Gerald Kingston." Their goal was clear. "Our goal is to impress." And then, amidst the glittering stars and twinkling lights, they realized, "He probably can't ignore our presence," thinking that even 2 ranks of difference could attract the attention of the one at the top. The tension in the casino was building like a whirlwind, gathering stares and bets around it. "Besides, we'll also beat him here as well," they boldly declared as they prepared for the next challenge. Through the flickering screens of the monitors came, "How many times can you do this?" Resentment mixed with excitement, heating things up. In the thick of things, amid the clatter of chips and the flick of cards, came a firm voice. "Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen," and then with a challenge. "You may try, though I beat you early." And in the midst of the battles, when the passions reached a climax, someone remembered about the invisible player. "Have you forgotten who our mentor is?" And it was like it was a reminder that in a high-stakes game, there's always an unknown card. In the shadows of threats and regrets amidst faintly lit faces, one player anxiously confessed, "He won't forgive us for such a mistake." The words hung in the air like heavy smoke. The silhouette that emerged from the gloom replied in a cold tone, "And for all your intelligence, you still don't seem to understand anything," echoed through the room full of tense anticipation. "Gee, head, I'm sure they'll take note," someone else muttered, the words trembling like the hands that clutched the cards. And at the heart of the game, where reason fights chance, the thought was made, counting cards is not a man but a calculation, emphasizing not human passion, but cold calculation embodied in the game. In a shadow of calm and calculation, the man in glasses towered majestically above the bustle of the casino, hinting at the hidden depth of his figure. "Maybe we should find out more about you." Words, saturated with secret intentions, emphasized his status as the divine alchemist Gerald Kingsman. Somewhere in the warm hues of the gambling hall, a young man was smiling, drowning in the green of his winnings, filled with the magic of success and confidence in every gesture. The game turned into a lesson for some when the mentor cheerfully reminded them of the importance of attention to detail. "Tabletop memorizes all the cards." His student, radiant with joy, added her wisdom as if playing with fate. "So you were kicked out because you beat the casino too often, and being a senior only implies that higher is no further." Their words danced in the air, filling the casino with the lively spirit of play and the possibility of new discoveries. In the whirlwind of the casino, where every moment offers a new twist, one player enthusiastically exclaimed, "I'll bet on red." And while decisions were made in a hurry, others reminded us to stop and think, suggesting, "Lately these things are few and far between in winning." Excitement was building when another persona, full of determination, called out, "Wait! I don't like this predictability." There was a foreboding in her voice that the game might take them farther than they expected. Against the backdrop of the light-filled roulette room, she whispered thoughtfully to herself as she waited for her moment, "As always, Wadi is in his spirit." Her silhouette stood out against the busy crowd, as if a sign that here in this casino, the rules of the game were a little different from the usual. Perhaps this is no ordinary casino, she thought, looking around the room with a slight uneasiness that prompted reflection on the many hidden aspects of this mysterious night. In echoes of a casino where every card is a step toward victory or defeat, a man with blue hair and sharp eyes pondered his next move. "The number of cards is excellent," he whispered, spreading them out before him with his usual precision and anticipation of the result. And so, with a glint of confidence in his eyes and cards in his hands, he thought, if the cards are laid out in order, we can play bigger. His strategy was not just a game of luck, but an elaborate calculation of probabilities. With each new layout, he grew more and more confident while the chips gently touched each other, creating a rhythm of victory that was familiar to him. The odds of winning increased dramatically, but the risk of going nowhere. The game continued, and he remained calm despite the tension around him, and the card counting itself. His voice was lost in the sounds of the casino, but his intentions were clear. He was a master of his craft, and this night was further proof of his art. A man with blue hair, boldly seated at the gaming table, shrewdly remarked, "Way is considered hooliganism, but it's not really breaking any rules." It was a statement not only of his confidence in his own methods, but of his understanding of the fine line of the rules of the game. A mysterious character in an elegant cloak, standing out brightly among the flames and gold surrounding him, asked a rhetorical question, "I hope rank 55 will agree to play with rank 5? It was a challenge, an offer of competition that could change the casino hierarchy. The focused player, soaked with exertion, admitted, "Higher and he knows me." His voice had a mixture of respect and concern in the face of a possible adversary or ally. Two figures, one majestic and the other humble, stood side by side. One of them seemed to give signs of respect or support to the other, in this space where power and rank defined their relationship. Through the lights and shadows of the casino, a man with a confident look and a stack of chips against the flickering light spoke up. "And just when you need to ask something." His words, full of self-assurance and anticipation, were addressed to an unknown opponent or perhaps an ally in this game. A man in a cloak, and his gaze seemed to penetrate through space and time as he uttered a single word, "Arachnia." It could have been a code word or a hint of a hidden strategy in an established game. The same man, already with a chip in his hand, asks, "What are you up to?" It was not just thinking about the next move, but trying to read the opponent's mind to understand his next move. And then, in the final image, the cloaked figure resolutely tosses the cards on the table with a questioning, "That's how?" as if defying fate, waiting for an answer from the game that must soon unfold before him. Sitting at the table, surrounded by chips of all colors, the man asks with a slight smile, "You might as well double the stakes for that answer, don't you think?" His tone suggests confidence in his game and anticipation of victory. He continues as if addressing an invisible opponent, "All right, don't let it get you down." His facial expression and the hand holding the cards exude calmness and control over the situation. "Here's the deal," he pronounces next as he concentrates on going through the cards, preparing for the decisive move that could determine the outcome of the entire game. Perhaps the main antagonist, who with a dark premonition says, "One more card and I would have lost," emphasizing that between them there is a game not just of luck but of strategic thinking. In a gambling hall where every move can mean the difference between winning and losing, a man in a purple cloak confidently declares, "Under 17, I'll take another one." His voice carries the weight of authority, and his every gesture seems measured and definite. His opponent, a man with dark hair, responds to his actions with a slight chuckle, emphasizing his equanimity and readiness for any outcome. The man in the cloak reveals his cards. This is the moment of truth, when it becomes clear that behind these calm and controlled movements lies the sharp mind of a player who knows every possible outcome. And finally, in the last shot, we see the look of shock on his opponent's face as he utters, "Backdeck," a word that perhaps means an unexpected turn in the game, an unforeseen event that could completely change the course of the game. After a tense round when the stakes were high and adrenaline filled the air, one of the players suggested continuing the game. "So, another round?" His hand, carefully adjusting the stack of chips, was ready for a new challenge. The opponent, undaunted by his optimism and confidence, replied, "You still have chances, don't you?" suggesting that the game was not yet decided, and there might be more opportunities ahead. The tension increased when the blue-haired player realized that his opponent had read his strategy. "He miscalculated me." It was an acknowledgement that in this game, every move can be anticipated. The faces of the surrounding observers reflected admiration and interest. They witnessed a fascinating confrontation between the two masters, their looks saying that the outcome of the game had captured them completely. A man with blue hair, his face reflects tension and concentration. His gaze is directed into the distance, and only a silent makes it clear that his mind is on the next move in the game. His opponent, a man in a purple cloak, utters with a confident smile and ease, "Again, I win." His swagger speaks to his intimate knowledge of the game and his invincibility in it. A man with blue hair, again in suspense, who says, "If you memorize and anticipate," suggesting that his opponent is using not only luck but analytical skills to run the game. In your face, the moment of truth in the game came when the two players exchanged tense glances. "I don't predict," the man in blue stated, his gaze impenetrable and determined, hinting that he was not acting on assumptions but on a clear plan. For his part, his cloaked opponent uttered with mysterious confidence, "I anticipate," he said, as if demonstrating that he had a deep understanding of the game and the ability to anti-cipher his opponent's moves. A man in a cloak illuminated by a supernatural light declared, "My eye sees the future." This statement carried weight and mystery, indicating his unique ability to see and understand more than ordinary mortals would allow.